reasoning is very, very heavily motivated. So this is the major psychological point I want to make to you today. Human reasoning is motivated. We're not very good at objective, careful, balanced reasoning. When we evaluate a proposition, anything, that fat is good for you, that Obama was born in Hawaii or Indonesia, wherever, any proposition, you evaluate it, we don't say, well, what's the evidence on one side? What's the evidence on the other? Which one wins? We don't do that. Our brains are not set up to do that. We start with a feeling. We want to believe X or we want to doubt X. We ask, can I believe it? I want to believe this. Can I believe it? And then we send our reasoning off on a search to find evidence. If we find one piece of evidence, we can stop. Because we're now, if someone holds us accountable, they say, well, why do you think that? You pull out the piece of evidence. You say, here, this is why. So this is what the research shows. We have motivated reasoning. I'll show it to you in action. So in one study, subjects come into the lab. They're in a psychology course. They're learning about experimental methods. And they're given a study. It looks like it's from the journal Science. And it shows that caffeine consumption is associated with breast cancer. And your job is to evaluate the study and just critique it. Does it look like a well-done study? So who do you think finds a lot of flaws in that study? Coffee drinkers. Yeah, coffee drinkers hate it, right? All coffee drinkers? Female coffee drinkers are asking, must I believe? I don't want to believe this. Must I believe it? And so they look really critically, and they can pick it apart. The sample size is too small. They didn't control for this or that or age or whatever. They really don't want to believe it, and they don't have to. They don't have to. Let me show you another study. Subjects come into the lab. They sit in front of a computer, and they're told lots of stuff's going to flash up on the screen. If you press this button within half a second of seeing a letter, then you get a nickel added to your account. And so lots of stuff flashes up. You press the button. OK, what was that? What did I put up? Anyone see it? OK, so if you were paid to spot letters, you saw that as a B. But half the people were told you get a nickel every time there's a number, and they see it as a 13. So note that nobody is crazy. There is ambiguity. Nobody sees it as an L or a fish or something. It's either a B or a 13, and as long as there's ambiguity, we see what we want to see. Can I believe that's a letter? Yes. Click. So this is the way our minds work. We see what we want to see. Now, this has enormous implications for scholarship, because in scholarship, sometimes maybe we really don't know and really have no opinion, but usually we have an idea, we want to believe it, if only because it's our idea, or maybe we want to believe it because it supports our politics, whatever. We're not indifferent to anything, or whatever. We are indifferent to very few things in the world, whatever, how you say that. So if you start by wanting to believe one side of something, you're going to find evidence for it, and you're generally going to conclude that it's true. So scholarship to support a political agenda almost always succeeds in supporting it. The scholar, as she goes along, rarely, if ever, believes that she was biased. This is just the fact. This is what my research has uncovered. A motivated scholarship often propagates pleasing falsehoods. Once something is published that is politically pleasing to the majority of scholars, it's almost impossible to recall it, because it'll get cited. You can sort of issue a retraction within your field, but it's going to spread fields, and it'll live for decades as a falsehood. There's only one major protection against motivated scholarship, and that is institutionalized disconfirmation. That means if you participate in an institution that institutionalizes critique and disconfirmation, then the bad ideas, the bad research gets caught and filtered out. And that's the way the academy is supposed to work. This is the genius of science. It's not that each scientist is so rational. It's that science is a community of scholars that critique each other's work. That's great.